Let's start this review, Ben. Sit down. Alright, so the tale started about 2010. My mom rented this movie from the library, and Ben and I sat down to watch it. Ben, would you like to tell the audience how far we made it into the movie?
I thought originally we made it a half hour, but it might have been even less. And then I told John to shut the movie off and let's do something else because it wasn't good.
Fast forward to 2020.
We finished the movie and in a poetic kind of way to match this year, it was garbage.
Alright, so Avatar The Last Airbender just came to Netflix and I was like, oh, let me rewatch it. I loved the series as a kid and I really wanted to see it again. And it lived up to these expectations. It was a great series. I liked the animation. I liked the action. I really attached to a lot of the characters, some of which were bastardized in this movie.
And my connection to the show, I watched some of it. I'm rewatching it now because I never really had a way to rewatch it, and I like it. So John is going to be like how I was in the last review for the movie we did.
I'm a big Avatar fan. I really like The Legend of Korra as well. And I think that this movie was
Yeah, even as an adaptation, if you take away the fact, say there wasn't an Avatar The Last Airbender show and this was like an original movie, it would have been garbage also.
Okay, so one of the things that made Avatar The Last Airbender work were the characters. And I felt like this took the characters and just sucked everything that was good about them out and just threw it in the trash.
Because they were culturally, they were diverse. And then in the movie, they just made the waterbenders all white, and they made the firebenders
Middle Eastern.
And then they made the earthbenders mostly Asian.
Yeah, they kind of whitewashed this movie. They made all the protagonists, like the good guys, white. Well, they made the entire Fire Nation Middle Eastern, which I felt was kind of not good to represent all of your bad guys in one race.
They were planning on originally trying to make it like a Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Thank God they didn't, because my favorite character, Toph, was spared from this movie.
Yeah, they set it up. This was going to be book 1, which was the first season, then book 2, and book 3. Now, it's possible, I think, to adapt a cartoon show, like any show, into a movie, because all shows have like the filler episodes.
And Avatar had a lot of filler episodes.
Yeah. So there was stuff that they took out from like even from the first episode, like when they were like leopard seal racing.
Yeah, when they found the Fire Nation ship. Aang didn't say he was the Avatar until when they were far away.
They didn't even introduce each other. He didn't introduce himself until they were captured in like the earthbending town in the movie.
My name is Ang, and I'm the Avatar.
It's not true. It's bullshit.
Oh, and by the way, for this review, we're going to call the characters what they were in the series, because this movie decided to bastardize the names of the characters as well.
In the movie's defense, the director, M. Night Shyamalan, gave a reason why they did that.
It was a shit reason.
I think because they said in his country that's how they were pronounced.
They tried to compress this 20-something episodes into a 1.5 hour movie.
No, it was
like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Everything felt rushed. And I heard they cut a half hour out of this movie to make it convert it to 3D faster. Maybe if they kept that 30 minutes in the movie, probably still would have been shit, but at least it would have been able to breathe.
Because this movie, a lot of it is exposition. A lot of it is them explaining stuff.
There's a lot of telling and not showing.
There's a lot of telling and there's not enough showing.
My name is Katara, and I'm the only waterbender left in the Southern Water Tribe.
The Avatar would have to be an airbender. Are you an airbender, boy?
Don't even try to escape.
This is a warship!
So in the movie and in the show, Sokka, the water princess, the moon, she turns into the moon. She's like the moon spirit.
She sacrifices herself to become the moon spirit again.
And I remember the show, them like building the relationship between them two. So he was disappointed when she, kind of sacrificed herself. But in this movie, it was just he's emotional, but it's just we barely see them with each other. The best one I think was Iroh.
I don't know, because they still didn't like him. He looked kind of like a Middle Eastern version of Willie Nelson.
But I know, but like character-wise, like I think he did the best job, and which isn't saying a lot.
It's like, oh yeah, Eric Roberts was the best part of Raptor.
Another issue I had was the script reading, the line readings were very stilted. They like jolted. They'll say something like, there was one line that comes to mind when Sokka's like, they prey on the weakest villages and towns, and then he's like, and then he says we should save these, go to these villages on, and it's like they repeat the previous line.
I have to go back now.
We'll come with you.
I could take you back to the village.
I'll let you vent for a second.
Let me talk about the characters. Iroh, well, this actor did, I'm not going to say good, because there's nothing good about this movie. He did not look the part of Uncle Iroh. Uncle Iroh was this old, overweight man, and he as good as this Iroh acted, he didn't act the part of Iroh well. He wasn't as calm or relaxed. In fact, I feel like Zuko was totally not like his character. I'm so glad that Azula, Toph, and Suki were spared from this horrible piece of movie.
Are we talking about the bending? How it's bad?
Oh, the bending is bad. The bending looks like the effect was just
it's delayed.
Slowed.
It's like they do the movements and then they add the effects in like 2 seconds later, so it's not, you can't really tell what it was supposed to be. Like in the show, like they were doing stuff with their hands and you could track, you're like, oh, okay. But in this, it's just, it took 3 guys to like lift a rock.
Yeah.
And
no, it took like 6 guys to lift a singular rock.
Yeah, and they did this like dance or something, and then one guy pushed it. And it was just weird. It wasn't, the action wasn't good. Like they were trying to do this epic.
It was slow, actually.
It was slow. It didn't have any of like the creativity that the show had. Another thing I noticed was M. Night Shyamalan. He was really obsessed in this movie with like the tracking shot. Like
it got old.
A lot of the action was like one take, and if the action was more interesting, that could have been like a clever thing to do. But in here, since the fighting was so stale, and like it was more like, it felt like he wanted you to focus more on the technique of the camera than to distract you from the fact that the fighting was just obscenely boring.
So what do you give this?
I'd give it maybe like 4, maybe a 4.5 to 5. I'm gearing more towards a 4 because it's, I don't know what, like this movie is kind of what put M. Night Shyamalan in director's jail for a little bit, and then he made After Earth, and then they really left him there for a bit. Well, and then he made The Visit, and people were like, okay, that was alright. And then he made Split, which was really good.
I'm really attached to the original series. I can't acknowledge that some of the stuff, like some of the creatures and some of the CGI was good. Some of the camera angles were okay, and some of the shots were okay. I really can't enjoy. I was bored out of my mind, first of all, and I just was angry. I honestly have to give this a 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very rare that I like a movie less than Ben. I have to give this a 3 for the bastardization it did to many of these characters that I grew up with, and for the fact that it's just a bad movie in general. 3 out of 10. This movie. I hated it. Don't watch this movie, watch the series instead. I'm so glad they didn't ruin Toph.
Wait till the Netflix show.
Don't remind me. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go get some Tide Pods before the Netflix show comes out.